All right. We're going to be talking some fantasy baseball sleepers for the 2026 season, and we'll be right back.
The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me over here, AJ Applegarth. Over here, why is it not pointing there? Corey Pieper. How's it going? I don't know. That was weird. I don't know. Whatever. Thought I had that down. Apparently not.
Forget it.
Hope you guys are having a good night so far. We're going to be talking some sleepers for the upcoming season, and I don't mean AJ like he was 2 weeks ago when he was falling asleep on air.
Steph Curry came by and put the sleeper on me.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, if you didn't catch that one, I think it was the pitcher,
Yep.
the pitching planner one, draft strategy one.
I was
definitely near like the 45-minute mark. AJ just mid question. Like he was in the back row of like class and just falling asleep. Like, sorry, man, we were not apparently that interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that. I was just, I don't know. I was just tired. What can I say?
All right. So like last week, when we did our busts for the upcoming season, felt like we should start with some introductory questions about the topic here and just define what we mean by a sleeper and all that kind of stuff. So we'll just do that. And Corey, go first on this one. What is your definition of a sleeper?
So it's basically somebody who doesn't cost you a whole lot that can deliver a lot more than what they cost you at the draft table. I mean, you could say they're being drafted in the later rounds. I guess we're going to kind of go with, outside the top 150, something around that, and stepping into something, a bigger role, more at bats, better lineup spot, show some underlining data that just says they could produce considerably more than their current costs. Is it going to be players that no one's heard of or anything like that? No, but they could produce a lot more than where you're going to draft them at.
AJ, any difference?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in line with that. Just trying to find those late round steals that kind of fall off the draft board for whatever reason. So yeah, I mean that's basically it though. Right in the same line.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I'll add a little bit of extra too. Like, I'm not going to define a sleeper as just anybody who overvalues, or overperforms, because you could be talking like a fourth round pick who overperforms, right? Yeah, I mean, sure, I guess that's technically a sleeper. But I think we're talking easily like double digit round type guys. It doesn't have to be like a last round pick or a guy that doesn't get drafted at all. That's like your deep sleepers, which, by the way, Corey's article drops today. This would be Thursday as we record, and then I think the pitchers one will drop on Friday. So go ahead and check that one out, or maybe that was last week, and then this week is like super sophomores. I don't remember. I'm getting them mixed up now. I got too much going on, but either way, it's out there. So yeah, I think when you're talking about sleepers, there is sort of a cutoff range as far as like kind of what a sleeper is. It's got to be somebody who's kind of not really one of your primary picks, not one of your base picks for your team, I would say. So defining a sleeper as far as like how you choose one, AJ.
How I choose one. That's a good question. I mean, I just kind of go with, like I said, whoever is, it depends on my league setup. If I have a league where I'm looking at needing, corner infielders, middle infielders, that sort of thing, or extra flex spots, or utility in baseball, and even 5 outfielders. Most of the leagues I play in are going that way now, but I still have a couple that are 4 outfielders at most. And obviously in the beginning of the draft we want to build out those depth positions, but like for a roto league, I'm just trying to figure out if this guy is gonna he's gonna help me in steals, or
what I mean by
what
I mean by how you choose a sleeper is like, so how are you picking who your sleepers are? Like is there like is it like certain stats that you look at, certain trends that you look at, etc.? Like what that
well, yeah. I mean, I do fall victim to spring training, output sometimes. So if I see the guys that are like, oh, okay, they're doing something, especially if they're coming off of an injury, I do want to pay attention to that, because I feel like a lot of those players, people may just be pushing down their boards, and if they had past success, pre-injury, I'm not afraid to take a swing, if you will, on those guys, and just try to put them into my draft queue and hope that they fall. But yeah, it still wraps around with depth for me. Like if I know I'm going to need certain positions more, then that's kind of the position I look at for potential breakouts, whether it's going to be, a rookie bat or not rookie, like sophomore bat that's coming in that came up the year before, depending on what they showed. If they're streaky, you might not take a swing on them as much, but they could pan out too.
Corey, what's kind of your way of picking, identifying your sleepers?
So I go off of bad surface stats. Typically, sleepers have poor surface stats. Now, they can have good surface stats and be undervalued, but typically it's poor surface stats but good skills below it, right? Whether that's for hitters, it's like barrel rate and hard hit rate. It can be just the most basic can be contact, right? Are they making good contact? High walk rate, low strikeout rate. I look at all that stuff for hitters. For pitchers, ERA is pretty basic. Sierra I like, FIP I like. And then it's a lot of times it comes down to opportunity change. If you've got an additional opportunity as far as moving up in a batting order or just full-time playing time, those are underlying skills plus opportunity is something that I look at for sleepers.
Yeah, I would say, just to add, AJ, you mentioned like the spring training stuff. I am not a spring training, like I'm going to go after the guy who hit, 12 home runs in the spring. And
yeah. I
I'm
like some of that stuff
guy,
like that.
But I will say this. I pay attention to the guy that all of a sudden is going to win like a starting job that you didn't expect to get, or he's been batting like first or second in the lineup and nobody expected it, but he's going at like pick 220, right? And so that's a guy that there's no way he would be going at pick 220 if everybody knew that ahead of time, right? And we mentioned it a few shows ago, the guy from the Cardinals, and I'm totally blanking on his name again.
Newt Bar.
Yeah. Last year that was a big one. He started off hot, got ice cold, but it was nice while it lasted. That's
not a sleeper because he's going in like the top 20 picks. But did you see that Nick Kurtz is batting leadoff for the Athletics right now?
That's interesting.
I did not see that.
I don't know. I have no idea if it'll last, right? But for at least the first two games,
that seems like a somebody else pick place that we will mention later, perhaps. All right. So Corey, is there a certain number of sleepers, upside guys, undervalued players, whatever we want to call them, right? That you aim to go after in drafts? Like, what's too many? However you want to answer.
I think it's a balancing act, right? So I talk about how I like boring guys. I'm not just going to take an entire team of boring dudes, right? I'm not going to take an entire team of sleepers. It's a balancing act of both. Probably 12 teams, something like. I want really 70% of my team to be somebody I rely on. And I feel I realize there's always variance, but I feel pretty good about 70% of my guys being reliable. And then of that additional 30%, 20% are sleepers and 10% are like real long shots. Spencer Schwellenbach falls far enough. Josh Hader. No, those are not great sleeper options. But like late guys who are injured or prospects, like real dart throws that I don't care if they're not doing anything in 10 days into the league, I'll churn through that 10%.
Right. Yeah. AJ, you like how many sleepers are you willing to take a shot on here? All of them.
Yeah, probably.
All of them.
Between, I'll probably take a stab at maybe two of the younger, like rookie-ish potential breakout guys. But veterans, if, like I said, if they've had some proven success and had, bad year for whatever reason, maybe they switched the team and, they just didn't quite get the hang of being in the new lineup or stupid shit like that. I'll take shots on those guys, 3-4 times if I need to.
Yeah.
I just want to try to get, build that depth. And if they don't pan out or they're not quite breaking out for, maybe I'll give them like a month, depending on what their
this is a rage draft. That seems like a long time for you.
It is a long time for me, because I'm usually rage dropping bigger names who like really piss me off. So yeah, I'll take some stabs though.
All right. Yeah, I'm sort of just play by ear as the draft goes. I'm not going to take too many, for sure. 4 or 5 max, probably out of a like 26 team or 26 roster league. But I'll tell you, like the fantasy baseball cheat sheet that we've got over on Fantasy Six Pack, it absolutely helps me identify these sleepers. The projections and the ADP and everything that get mixed into it, and the value score that you get with these guys, it really lets you identify these guys that are really undervalued. And it's worth taking a shot on one, maybe a round early, knowing that you can get like a safer player the next round. And the cheat sheet is fantastic for showing you that as the draft goes. If you want access to that, go over to Fantasy Six Pack. Become an all access member. Use promo code F6P Pods to save 15%. Link and information is in the description, so go ahead and check that out. All right, let's jump right into our sleepers per position. AJ, we'll let you go first.
All right,
and start with the good old catcher position.
Oh yeah. Catcher, I am going not too deep here. I feel like it's somebody who had some high praise at one point, but I'm going with Francisco Alvarez. We've already discussed my closet love for the Mets, which still I still just don't understand what I'm doing here sometimes. But he had a ton of hype before, and when he was coming up and whatnot. Injuries kind of derailed him a bit. He's had some down, like good bouts of just bad play. But I think, given with everybody that's in the Mets lineup now and, the way that they have everything set up, I think he's got a good chance to, get back into like higher RBI numbers. He still had a decent average, once he came back last year. So I think he can if he can maintain that, then, you're going to see a higher on base percentage. You're going to see, like I said, more opportunities as the protector in a sense. People might think that he's going to not do anything and they'll walk, the guys ahead of him and whatever. And then boom, here he is. And he's cranking a random homer. So, I don't know. I've just got a feeling about Alvarez, and I've always kind of liked him, based on his
being a Met, based on his being a Met.
Yeah, well, that too, of course. That's first and foremost. Never mind. I was gonna go off on a tangent, and I'm not going to. It's
God, please no.
no.
Dude, I'm skeptically like optimistic. I don't know. Like it's a weird combination there with him. I will say you have to like what you're hearing so far. Like he's dropped 8 to 10 pounds, so he's slimmer, changed his diet. You feel like when a guy is finally starting to take the game that seriously, things are going to go well. At least you hope.
Yeah.
Right. Feel like it can't be bad, right? You start eating healthier, you start, treating your body right. It can't possibly get worse, right? And so he's got the talent. We know he's just got to stay healthy and put it all together. And I think he can. It's just a matter of when. He's only 24. How crazy is that?
Mm-hmm.
It's absurd. Like I had to do a double take when I saw it. I'm like, wait, what? I feel like I've been on this guy for 12 years.
I mean, this will be his 5th year in the majors. 2022. He debuted, I mean, at the very end.
He's still going to hit.
Nuts, though,
he's still going to hit low in that lineup too. So
that's
the protection
thing monster
might
lineup, though. That's a lot of RBI
big,
potential.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's so many good bats ahead of him, and then you get
on base. You got
good bats right behind him. Good on base guys behind him as the lineup turns over. So he could be getting runs.
Agreed.
A higher output in the runs. So.
All right, Corey, who is your catcher bust?
Not a bust. We're doing sleepers.
Or sleepers, whoever.
Yeah, but just letting you know. We are doing sleepers.
I was last week.
So
who's asleep now?
Mine is even coach my 9-year-old's basketball team. It was a struggle.
Any throwdown? Any dunks or no dunks?
9 years old?
Yeah. You never
playing
know.
on 6-foot rims.
Why not?
Mine is going even a little later than Francisco Alvarez per ADP, and it is Carter Jensen, the other catcher for the Royals. So if Salvi Perez is the main catcher, but he's not. He really plays first base now. Carter Jensen is the other catcher, but I think he's going to be the main catcher this season, and it came up last season at the ripe old age of 21. Actually, I guess he was 22 at that time. Played 20 games, hit 3 home runs with 13 RBIs, batted a robust 300. But then it's when you look underneath that it gets real interesting because my dude had a 95.4 average exit velocity. That is tied with Aaron Judge for the second best in the league if you drop down the qualifications. So he is pummeling the ball. Only O'Neill Cruz with a harder one, and we all know Joe loves him. 58% hard hit rate behind Joey Weimer, which LOL. But Roman Anthony, Kyle Schwarber, and Shohei Ohtani. So he is hitting the ball hard, and he did it at AAA before that too. It's not like this was a small sample size, 93-mile-an-hour average exit velocity at AAA, 58% hard hit rate. All that stuff screams power hitting catcher prospect. We talked about we don't want to buy into spring training stats, and I agree. I don't want to buy into spring training stats either. I saw he went 3 for 3 today, and he hit at least 1 home run. So I'm going to mention that because if it fits my narrative, we're going to mention it. And
spring training only matters if it's about the guys you care about.
Exactly. Thank you, Joe.
It's like
only if it makes me sound better. And I think Carter Jensen's really good. And I know that the projection models have him playing around 100. I think most of them have him right around 100 games. I don't know why he's going to play only 100 games. I think that's what's suppressing him. So they have him playing around 100 games, hitting 10 to 12 home runs with like a 240 average. I don't buy that. I think he's 130 games played, and I think he can get to 20, 25 home runs. Like, if you told me he was kind of similar to what we got out of Tyler Soderstrom or Shea Langoliers, excuse me, the wrong A's player there. Shea Langoliers, kind of like light, taken outside the top 240. The profile looks really similar to that. So I am willing to take a shot deep if you wait on catcher.
I think the problem, right, is they're still projecting Sal Perez as like the actual starting catcher. So he's going to take a lot of reps from there. So unless he plays DH, which is where they have him slotted in the lineup, but they have him also, roster resource right now has him as a platoon DH player. So I think that's the struggle. So, he'll play some catcher to fill in for Perez, who isn't playing as much catcher as he used to. But
I just think
it is hard to project how many games, but Carter Jensen would be like your perfect like second catcher, right? In these two catcher leagues, I think that's like a golden pick there, and he probably will be super popular. I would imagine. So,
I just think he's so much better than the platoon. Like I think they have him in a platoon with Nick Lofton. No, I just don't imagine that that's going to last very long because Carter Jensen, I think, is just so much better of a player than that he's going to work his way out of that platoon is where I think it's coming from. But I understand the projection by our guy buddy Jason there. So cool.
All right. Let's move into our first base sleepers here. Joe, we'll start with you since Corey and I have been talking.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with
That's your cue. Wake up.
One of Corey's guys here now as of mid-season last year, and that is Andrew Vaughn. His ADP, I believe, is well into the 200s. If I had 283. So yeah, that's pretty low. Being completely forgotten, and I can understand it a little bit because he's been not very good for most of his career. When he got over to the Brewers last year, though, man, 64 games, 254 plate appearances, 9 home runs, 46 RBI, only scored 26 times, but hit 308. Now, look, I get it. You cannot extrapolate that over to a full season. And look, maybe you would say the batting average doesn't stay that high. Look, his expecting batting average was 295. So, like, it's not like it is expected to drop that far. He's locked into that starting first base job, in my opinion, in Milwaukee. So he's going to get a ton of at-bats. I think if he doesn't just fall off a cliff, which I really don't expect him to, we're looking at like a possible 25 home run, 160 runs plus RBI guy. So like 80 each, and like a 270 hitter at worst. Like that is a pretty damn good first baseman, and you have to draft him absolutely nowhere near that cost.
Yeah, that's huge.
I agree with all of that. I don't know about the batting average, but the rest of it, I'm good at. He just got to keep that strikeout. He got a lot better at like cutting down the strikeouts with Milwaukee. So hopefully he can keep that up as a Brewers fan. That's if he can keep it on the strikeout rate, then he can maybe hit the 270. But yes, I agree that Andrew Vaughn is undervalued. I will go with a different player. I didn't realize that I picked 2 Royals to start here. That must be like my Mets for AJ is my love for the Royals. I will go with Jack Caglianone, the rookie last year. If we were talking about this last year, like at this time, it would have been who do you take first among rookies at first base between Nick Kurtz and Jack Caglianone. Obviously, Nick Kurtz now goes in the second round, and he is going. Jack is outside. I don't have it up right now. Pick. Where are you at? You are at pick 223. So very late. And it's because the surface numbers last season were not good at all. 62 games, 19 runs, 7 home runs, still not bad, actually. 18 RBIs, and a 157 batting average, which is hashtag not good. But the expected batting average, 237. It's not good, but it's not killing you bad either. 237. And it's some of the underlying stuff that makes me think, okay, there's actually quite a bit in here that's kind of exciting. He's got a strong barrel rate, right? Like the barrel rate is still 12%. That's fine. 42% hard hit rate. That's fine. He's hitting the ball hard. Now, the problem is he had a 4-degree launch angle, so he's pounding everything into the ground, which led to a ground ball rate of 50%. I didn't mention it under Kansas City. We've talked about it on other shows. Kansas City's moving the fences in. We've talked about that on some other shows. Kansas City's moving the fences in. I think that helps all their hitters hit more home runs. He's already hitting the ball solidly, and I don't think there's any concern about the Royals not finding playing time for him. We just talked about how it won't be at DH probably with Carter Jensen, but I think they're just going to say right field is yours. Now, for fantasy purposes right now, he should be eligible at first base, but right field is his, and I think he's going to get every opportunity, and I think he is going to deliver on the promise there that he had coming into the season, and be a sneaky good pick or outside the top 200.
Yeah. I mentioned before the show, I really liked him, and you got to the sheet before I did, so you snagged him. Like his His BABIP last year was 172. Not granted, the 4-degree launch angle has a lot to play with that, obviously. Slugging was 259. His expected slugging was 415. The dude hits the absolute living crap out of the ball. So like, I just can't imagine this not carrying out, not getting better. Demolished the minor leagues when he was there. So I just think he's a guy. He allows a lot of like first pitch strikes too, which is something else that got him. So he just needs to like just get a little bit more discipline at the plate as well. But young guy, I think he'll figure it out. He's too talented not to.
Yeah.
Cool. On to second base. Everybody's favorite position, ever second base, where Joe went first last time. So, AJ, it is your turn to tell us who is your second base sleeper.
All right. Well, my second base sleeper is sticking again in the NL East, and it would be not a Met. It's Miami Marlin, and that's Xavier Edwards. I mean, this guy's got a high K rate, which is a little scary, but he can be had very late in drafts as well. So, his ADP is currently sitting around like 176. Like his big thing for me is just his ability to steal bags. He gets good runs, a little bit of RBI, but he's hitting second in that lineup. And Miami isn't a great team, but they have a lot of heart, and they're a young team. So they anything that they're doing, I feel like, is just playing house money anyways. So let the guys play and see what they can do. And he had a really nice season last year overall. 283 average, 343 on base. Slugging only 353. He's not a power guy, but stole 27 bags and had 75 runs. So that's pretty solid production for most of your categories in standard leagues. I'll take the hit on the RBIs and the homers, and hopefully be getting that with my big power guys in the early rounds. So this is someone I feel like I can get late, plug him into second, plug him into that middle infield, and I believe he still has shortstop eligibility. That's a win-win right there.
So when
the position eligibility is crucial for sure. Yeah. I struggle with these like basically speed only guys though. I really do. I have a tough time buying them. Said it many times. They're like 1.5 category players, man.
When you were talking, that's what I looked up.
I mean, average.
It feels like Chandler Simpson goes way ahead of him in drafts. The ADP only has it as like essentially a half a round, but it always feels like Chandler Simpson goes, at least in the drafts that I'm in, like at least a round, if not 2 rounds earlier. And I think Xavier Edwards with the position eligibility is basically the same thing. Maybe Chandler Simpson has more steal upside. Like I think 80 steals is in there if he plays all the time, but there's also a lot more downside because we already saw the race send him to the minor leagues. So that's not great. But
and there's like zero power from Simpson. There's at least, we've seen a couple of home runs from Edwards every now and then.
Yeah.
He has 9 barrels in his 3 seasons. Xavier
Edwards,
9 total barrels. That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
Like I said, I'm getting my power guys earlier. This is more filling a role for getting a couple of those categories. Like I said, average, he's going to help you out. Steals, he's going to help you out. And runs, he's going to help you. So 3 out of 5 ain't bad, Meatloaf. Up your game. Do you know who Meatloaf is, Corey? Can we start with that?
I think so. He's a singer, but I don't get why we said his name here. Why 3 out of 5 ain't bad?
3 out of 5 ain't bad. He had a very famous song called 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, that one I don't know. That one I didn't know. Yep.
It's
You got it. Yep.
the Bat Out of Hell record album, if you will.
Cool.
Solid piece.
Right, my turn.
Your turn, Joe. Before I get lore lost here.
Very awkward conversation. So
you're welcome.
I'm gonna kind of give you two here real quick. First one, Jackson Holliday. It's weird because like his overall ADP is 164, and I get it. It's dropped a lot because of the Hammett surgery, but still think he's going to play the majority of the year at this point. And going at 164 feels like he should be a sleeper, but he's still going as like the 9th second baseman off the board. That just tells you how bad second base is. So it's kind of a sleeper, but then not like within its own position. So I'm going to pass on that one a little bit. I just want to mention it that like I think he's going to be a guy who, just continues to get a little bit better this year. I wrote about him quite a bit in the second base draft strategy article over on Fantasy Six Pack. So go ahead and check that out if you want to get my thoughts on him. The guy that I really want to mention though is Matt McLain. I'm intrigued by him. I always have been. But when I was looking at the Reds earlier in the offseason before spring training happened, I kind of was like, I don't really know. He's projected to bat like low in that lineup. And I don't know, man. Matt McLain can't seem to quite just put it all together and just be the guy that we all thought he was going to be, right? Now, though, I'm looking at the Reds, and spring training lineups have me very intrigued by him. He is batting second a lot in the Reds like main lineup this spring. Side note, my other like favorite guy for the Reds, my actual favorite guy for the Reds before the season started up until like yesterday when I found out this news was Sal Stewart. He's been playing in like the backups lineup. So not good news. I'm pretty much out on him for drafts unless I can get him in like the last round. And then even then, like, I don't know what I would do with him if he doesn't play. It's been Spencer Steer in for him. So yeah, Matt McLain, like we knew him as the prospect. He came up, he's got all the tools, right? Just needs to put it together. Sounds like the Reds are really going to give him a chance. So, I mean, you can get him like 208. Not as late as I thought. But again, I think that has to do with a little bit of like second base is bad. So like once you start hitting that lower, that once you get to that like 10 range of second base, they all just start flying off the board because then like nobody has one, except for unless you drafted the Kettle Martes. So it's just sort of they all just sort of get like smushed together and like thrown at the board. But at pick 200, I'll take my chances with Matt McLain all day.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. I've been watching.
No, you're not a fan?
Nah. Nope, not my guy. I don't like the strikeouts. Pushing almost 30% last season or right around there, and I think he could be a batting average drain. Like I think he could hit 210. Pretty easy. So. Nope, not my guy.
Dude had 14 home runs dude had 15 home runs and 18 steals last year and only 100. What was it? Like 510 at bats. So not great, right? But I mean, like, look, the year before, 2 years before that, when he came up and he, before the injury, he was a 290 hitter. So like it's in there.
BABIP. It was a 385 BABIP that year. Like last year he was 292. Like I just think there's a lot of batting average. Now, could he do the power speed thing? Yeah, I think he could get 15 somewhere around there. But I'll wait.
I think if he's gonna bat second in that lineup, I think there's something else there. I don't think the Reds are that stupid to bat somebody who's gonna hit 230 at the top of their lineup.
The Reds are pretty dumb. I don't know. I think you're giving it a little
Says the Milwaukee Brewers fan.
All
right, let's jump over here to good old third base. Corey, I'll let you have the floor.
Well, one team that's not dumb is the team that is currently undefeated in spring training without playing any of their star players. And that would be the Los Angeles Dodgers, who I believe are 6-0, and I think none of them have played yet. So their backups are like undefeated. And I will talk about Max Muncy, who looked pretty much washed at the start of last season. At the end of April, 7 runs, a homer, 5 ribbies, batting a robust 194 with a 309 on base percentage and a 301 slug. And then much has been made about the fact that he said, I got to try something different. And my dude went to the eye doctor, as you do. AJ's rocking his glasses. Max Muncy from that point forward started rocking the glasses. And he was awesome from start of May till the end of the season, because I couldn't find an exact date. I just went with start of May till the end of the season. I think it was the first week of May. He played in 71 games. We'll get to talk about some of the injuries in a second. So he only played in essentially half a season, but 41 runs, 18 homers, 62 RBIs, even chipped in 4 steals, 264, 403, 541. He has always been at least awesome at on base, right? He was always great at on base skills. And last season, 21%. He dropped the strikeout rate down to 21%. So the season average got to 243, even after that slow start. I think it's just being hidden by the fact that he had 2 different injuries that basically cost him a month in the second half. A knee injury, oblique injury. He had what was really a great second half. And because of that, we're still getting a pretty good discount on a guy who's projected to bat right in the middle of this awesome Dodgers lineup. Now, he'll probably sit against lefties. That's the problem, is he's probably going to have to sit against lefties. But at an ADP of 216, 18th among third basemen, I'll take that. I'm more than willing to wait at third base. It's a deep position, and draft a guy who's currently projected to bat 6th in the Dodgers lineup against right-handed pitching. That's the type of spot where you can give me 25 home runs, 100 RBIs pretty easy with a 400 on base percentage, and maybe hits 250 to do it all day, every day. I will wait and take that as my corner infielder almost every league if he's there.
Yeah, I could get behind that one. Obviously as a glasses wearing brother, I should be able to do that. Meanwhile, I am going to go with Addison Barger. I think it's Barger, from Toronto. Third base and outfield eligibility. And I will say he is projected to be in a platoon, against righties. But he is the left-handed batter, so I would assume he'll get the better run there, of course. And he played pretty split between third and right field last year, 91 to 60. So heavier on third, but he's also batting cleanup in the Toronto lineup here. So he's got Springer, Varsho, and then Vlad Jr. in front of him. Pretty solid chances for RBIs on that. But he's got his own power too. He came up last year and crushed 21 homers and 500 at bats. Had 61 runs, 74 ribbies. His walk rate is a little low, at just over 7%. So that's not the best, obviously, for getting that on base percentage rolling. He's pretty low there too, like right about league average at 300. Average is average, 243, as we've seen. Averages have been falling over the past handful of years. K rate's a little high at 24%, but I can live with that for someone who I'm getting back at, what was his ADP here? Like 190, 192. So, that's I'm willing to pay that. I'm probably willing to go a little higher than that just to get him. I love the eligibility, like I said. And he had 39 barrels last year, 51% hard hit rate. So there's the power's there, and he's crushing the ball. So I'm all for that.
The other thing you got to worry about with him is sitting against lefties. He batted 217 against lefties last year.
And
I mentioned
him
against righties wasn't fantastic, but he definitely hit much better. Like 20 of his 21 home runs was against righties.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I was talking about him when we were doing those daily shows last summer. It felt like he came up all the time for like a stretch of about a month and a half, and then I felt like he just fell off a cliff. But then he got red hot again in the playoffs to reignite my, because I was a big like Addison Barger in the middle of the season. I was, man, this dude looks like a total stud. I think I talked about him on the show, and I think I talked about the Joe and stuff, but then he kind of fell off.
I picked him up in a couple places, and then August and September were just brutal.
Yeah.
So
red hot playoffs, including, was it like, I feel like he hit like 500 in the World Series or something around it. It was wildly good. So
he was ridiculous in the World Series.
Yeah.
All right.
On shortstop.
All right. Let's jump on into the SS position here. And I believe, Corey, we can start with you.
Sure.
Or
you can start with me. It doesn't matter. We can start with me. That's fine. I think, and this is going to be the position where both of us are going to talk about someone I think are probably the two highest guys in ADP per any spot on this list. And I don't want to put words in Joe's mouth, but I'll tell you why that is. Because we talked about how good shortstop is, and it is. There are 16 awesome shortstops, the way that I go about it. Maybe you guys have a few more that you like. I see 16 awesome shortstops, and after that, it gets a little thin in a hurry. I mean, I thought about talking about Connor Griffin, rookie wonderkind, who's already got a few home runs in spring training, but I don't know if he breaks the team. There's Jose Caballero down there, who's kind of fun for the position eligibility. But I really just wanted to go to the back of the 16 that I like and say, who's the latest one on that? And it is Dansby Swanson. The ADP is still 148, so just inside of our roughly 150 cutoff, but it gets thinned out quick. But Dansby Swanson, just rock solid consistency, right? 4 out of the last 5 seasons, he's hit between 242 and 248. Is it great for a shortstop? No, but is it killing you? Also, no. You can live with a 240 batting average. That's not all that terrible. For the last 5 seasons, between 22 and 27 home runs. Last season, he stole 20 bases, first official 2020 season. But if you take away the COVID odd season, that's 7 straight years he stole at least 9 bases. That's not anything to sneeze at. Like a couple of double-digit steals in there, some 12s, a 17. It's just really strong 5-category production. Joe mentioned it kind of with Andrew Vaughn. This 80 runs, 20 to 25 home runs, 80 RBIs, might chip in 10 steals. The difference is he's not going to hit 260, 270. He's going to hit like 240. But I will take that. Shortstop who's going, I think he's the 15th shortstop off the board, 16th shortstop off the board. Sure, I'm fine with starting him as my starting shortstop in a lot of leagues. I know we've kind of disagreed on Joe wants an early shortstop. I've said I'm fine waiting on it. And just these are the type of guys that I target. The Bo Bichette, Corey Seager, Dansby Swanson threesome. I want one of those guys. And this is why I like Dansby Swanson's value down there.
And see, so I'll give mine in a second. I think the reason why I want one of those top guys is just because the top like 5 to 6 shortstops, in my opinion, are like some of the elite players in the league, and they are massive difference makers between the rest of the guys. Yep. And so I really, really want one of those guys if I can. Now, granted, the draft may not always fall that way. If not, I'm fine with these guys. But this is the level that you're talking about. This is as far as I'm willing to go, because after that, it gets dicey. It gets real dicey, man. I mean, you're talking about like Ezekiel Tovar's, like, no, I don't really want him. Like, we're talking about some of these sleepers at other positions. I want to take my sleepers at that range, that 200 plus range at other positions, not at shortstop. The shortstop's down that far, not interested. Not interested at all. They are defensive players at that level. So I'm going to give one name like I did with Jackson Holliday, and it's Jeremy Peña. Like, overall ADP, no. But honestly, like, to me, like him and like, I love me some Corey Seager, but we know he's never going to play a full season at this point. But like Jeremy Peña and Corey Seager, like that's honestly my cutoff for me. Like, I think that's another teardrop after them that I'm not thrilled with. And I know Bo Bichette's right there with them, but I think Bo Bichette's lack of speed and like he's good everywhere else. He's really good at batting average, but like, I don't know, to me, like Bo Bichette just doesn't do it for me. But I mean, like at the draft cost, I think it's probably fine. I don't want to take the Trevor Stories. He was your bust, Corey.
That's why I said note that I said 16, even though that Jacob Wilson falls 17, because he does not fall into that top 16 that I want. Sorry.
Yeah. Trevor Story is a guy that I'm not super interested in. Willie Adames, kind of. If you're just looking for power, that's cool. That's what you're going to get from him. Not a whole lot else. Dansby Swanson's fine. Steady Eddie. Jacob Wilson's my other guy, though. And again, I get it, Corey. And Corey, you wrote about him in your Super Sophomore Hitter article. And I hadn't totally read what you wrote yet until after I wrote this. I was like, I remember him putting it in there. I don't remember exactly what he said about him. And the notes I put in were spot on with yours. It was, he's a batting average stabilizer for sure. Great contact hitter. The power, I'm not sure of. Like, I'm not sure whether or not to believe the fact that he hit 13 last year in not a full season. And so you can like project that out to like maybe 17 or 18. I'm not sure if we want to do that because like none of the metrics behind it line up. And so you're like, maybe he's like a 10 home run guy. Okay, not great. Steals, not really there. He's going to be a batting average and a run producer. You know, going around pick 170, you could do a lot worse. I do think like he's in that lineup though, and like you just mentioned Nick Kurtz batting first in that lineup. That's kind of a weird thing. I would have thought for sure it was, Jacob Wilson. If he's not batting first or second, and Nick Kurtz isn't batting behind him, maybe the run potential isn't as much there as I would have thought. But like, there's still a lot of boppers behind him in that lineup. I would imagine he's batting high up. You got Soderstrom and all those guys. So I think there's still going to be a lot of run potential. That A's offense is actually really, really good. So I like him from that standpoint. He's going to be steady for you in like 3-ish categories. And I could see a potential, like he's kind of neutral in home runs. So I think, he's young enough that, there's also potential for just like random growth. We've seen it out of random players before, surprise. So after him though, I am not interested in any of these dudes. I'm really not. I know everybody wants to go, oh, Connor Griffin. Okay. I get it.
Yeah.
What if he didn't come in until like June 10th? Because it's the Pirates and they're weird like that. All right.
Fair enough.
It is the Pirates. We will move on here to the last hitting position, and it is the outfield. Just like last week when we all gave a bust outfielder, we will all give a sleeper outfielder and a sleeper starting pitcher right after this. I believe I led off last time. AJ, are you ready to go with an outfielder?
Sure.
What you got?
So I've got like a 1A and a 1B here. They're very similar. It's Stephen Kwan and Sal Frelick.
Yep.
So the pros are with Kwan. Obviously, he's the leadoff hitter. That's always a benefit for getting more at bats and hopefully getting on base more. He had 693 at bats last year, or plate appearances. Sorry. Only had 11 homers, so he's not a big power guy. 81 runs and 21 steals. Again, another guy with a lower walk rate at just under 8, but his K rate is just under 9. So he's not striking out a lot either. His average is definitely on the higher end with the 272. So as far as, guys that I want that I know are going to get to the plate, know are going to hit and, and be on base to get those runs, again, bring on the meatloaf. 3 out of 5 ain't bad. And Kwan fits that bill. Now, his ADP is 163, so not as much of a sleeper as Frelick, who's coming in at just under 200 for the ADP. And, Difference with him, though, is the at-bats. He's projected to probably bat around 6th in this lineup. But Milwaukee was quite a very good team last year, best in the NL. So I can see them doing that again. Being a very strong team, very hitter friendly. The only worry with me on him over Kwan is he was pretty consistent for the most part as far as average throughout the year. He started off great in March, April, May, and June. He dropped off pretty hard in July, but then popped back up in August. So he was around 300, 280 to 309 in the first 4 months there. 3 months and 5 days or whatever it was, probably. July, he was all the way down to 254. August popped back to 315, but then September, October, he fell off a cliff. So coming into this year, he's one of those guys like in spring training that I want to keep an eye on and see if he starts bouncing back and what he can do in that sense. But a little more power out of him. Well, not much actually. He's about the same home runs, had 12, and about 100 less plate appearances though. So he'll get you some decent stats there for someone you're looking at as a 200 pick. So
give you the real Reds outfield sleeper is CJ Friedel, who they are batting first right now.
Yeah.
Which is, they did it a bunch last year, so I'm not totally surprised, but he's also going around that range, if not later. So I like that one a little bit too. So
yeah,
I will take a chance on a bunch of leadoff guys super late in the draft just to see if they hit.
Yeah.
And then just drop whichever, because the playing time and the at bats are there, right? So so that's what we got. I think it's my turn. So I'm going to go with, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, it's Luis Robert Jr. Now I'm on the Mets train like AJ.
Let's go, Mets. Let's go, Mets.
Now, look, we gotta watch the spring training news at this point with him because he still is not actually playing yet. He's working on his core strength, which I guess is a good thing. Slow roll this guy. The talent is there when he's on the field. He just needs to stay healthy. Batting average for the last couple of years for him has been just horrific. He's just it kind of felt like he playing for Chicago, right? Just didn't care anymore. It was, I'm either going to strike out or I'm going to hit a home run, and then I don't give a crap after that, because my team sucks. And he wasn't wrong. So it's kind of what it felt like he was doing, right? Because before that, man, this guy was hitting, 280, 264 in 2023, 264 with 38 home runs and 20 steals. The year after that, man, dude was going in first, second round. Unbelievable player. Maybe third round at worst, right? But because he wasn't playing, he kept getting hurt. The power never really carried over. He wasn't giving you the total. So 14 home runs the last 2 years each. Still 23 stolen bases, did 33 stolen bases in 100 games and 110 games. That is unreal. And for the fact that this guy was only getting on base at a 278 and 297 clip, every time he got on base, he was like, screw it, I'm going to steal a base. He was just racking up the counting stats as much as possible. He knew eventually he was going to get traded and, hopefully get a big ass contract somewhere. And the guy's a beast. If you look at a picture of this guy, he is huge. And so now he's playing in that just stacked Mets lineup. And yeah, maybe he doesn't maybe he doesn't get back to that 260 range, but if this guy could hit 240, 245, you're talking a potential 30-30 player. That is awesome. And so the ADP is still a little high because I think a lot of people are kind of in that same boat, but I think it's not as high as I thought it would be. That is for sure. So I'm willing to take a chance on Robert there, where he is going right now. I think he could be like one of those picks where it kind of wins you the league because you got him so late, and he ends up being like a third round value type guy.
Yeah. The one thing I would say about the steals, he's going from a team that, like you said, where it was just kind of like, F it, I'm going to do what I want, to a team that's competitive. And
Sure,
Francisco Lindor, they've been fine letting Francisco Lindor steal bases, and at times we've seen, like last year, they just let Juan Soto run wild and Starling Marte. But other than that, I don't know if they're going to let him steal that much. But I could be wrong. They could just say you're really fast and we'll let you go too, right?
well, yeah, but I mean, again, though, like I'm projecting, I'm hoping for 30 bases in hopefully 140 games. He was hitting 30 steals in way less than that, and so,
I just wanted to bring it up. I love Robert, so I'm perfectly cool with that one too. But I just wanted to bring that up. I have two. First off, my love for Bryan Reynolds knows no bounds. Just want to mention that he is 3 for 3, a couple doubles, and
I'm not gonna lie,
2 walks in spring training, and is once again undervalued because from middle of May till the end of the season, 11 home runs, 53 RBIs, he hit 270 with a 784 OPS. It was really 50 terrible games to start the season that pulled the whole season down. That's still not quite the same pace, but that's like a 16 homers, 78 RBI, 270 pace for a guy that you can now get outside the top 180. So just think he's undervalued. But I've talked about Bryan Reynolds enough, so I want to
I forget. Did he get good last year?
Shut up, Joe. Fuck you.
I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah, right. No,
he plays outfield. That's cool.
He might have gotten good right when like fantasy playoffs would have started. I think maybe somebody dropped him in our league, and I might have picked him up. I forget who that was.
I feel he's like the epitome of, I've waited way too long on this guy. I'm going to drop him and then let Joe pick him up and watch him just roll over me.
And that's exactly what happened.
I don't even have a witty comeback.
I
don't even have a witty comeback. I'm like, I'm out. Usually I have something. I got nothing.
You just kind of like,
yep, got to take that one. I got to eat that one. So, more fun. Not the boring Bryan Reynolds. More fun player. Let's talk about Dalen Lyle, who 23 years old with an awesome, like over half season sample. 91 games isn't nothing. It's not a full season, but it's not nothing. And I love the lineup spot projected here. It is right behind James Woods, CJ Abrams, and ahead of Dylan Cruz. 100 percentile expected batting average last season, 93rd percentile sprint speed. It's not that he was just getting lucky. He was legitimately awesome while he was out there. 91 games, 51 runs, 9 homers, 41 ribbies, 8 steals. He also chipped in 15 doubles and 11 triples. I forget the stat. I should have put it in here, but it's something like he's one of only him and Willie Mays to have 11 triples in 2 months. It's some wild stat like that in his career. So 299, 347 with a 498 slug. I thought going into the draft season that we'd be saying, well, this is a 23-year-old who broke out. We're going to have to pay up for Dalen Lyle. He is going on average on pick 233. Like, you're talking about Connor Griffin, who might not be up till June. He has an earlier ADP than him. And I get it. He might be awesome. But Dalen Lyle already was awesome as a 22-year-old. I don't get why he goes so late. I thought we'd be paying roughly the same price that we get. AJ mentioned Stephen Kwan at 150. He can do that. 100th percentile expected batting average. I don't see why he goes so much later than that, because I think they're pretty much the same player, except maybe a slightly worse offense. I don't know, but I'm all in on Dalen Lyle at that price.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm looking at the projections for him right now, and they're I mean, it's pretty much a full season, so
and they're not bad. I mean, they're not super.
It's offense, but I mean, I don't know.
The projections don't buy the power in the 91 games, right? The projections I feel like are like right around 10 or 11 home runs, right?
They are.
Yeah, I think the projections don't buy the power, but even the projections, when I was looking at them, they're still like a low key 5 category sneakiness with not a bad batting average. So if that's the low key outcome, I'd still be fine with that where he's going. So I'd love the price on Dalen Lyle. Yep.
All right. I think
I was going to say, let's jump into pitchers here.
Pitchers, yeah. So
mute.
AJ, we'll let you.
I go first all the time.
Pitcher.
So you go first. You go first.
What? You want me to go first?
I want to hear you talk, which you might as well cut that because I'm never going to say it again. Go ahead. Okay. Go first.
So I guess I'm going first. So I'm going to go with a Cub here, a guy who really underperformed last year. I was all over him as sort of like an ERA and like really just like a whip, like saver in the middle of the drafts. The middle of like probably the late early rounds, I guess is the way to say it. Shota Imanaga. I do think there was an injury with last year. They're saying that his K rate dropped to like 7.8 per 9. And they're saying that I think what I read was that the coaching staff is now blaming like a hamstring injury for part of the reasons why his velocity was down last year and the strikeouts were down and he wasn't as effective. Right now, his velocity is up 3 miles an hour in the spring, which sounds ridiculous. Like when you hear that, you're like, oh no, here comes Tommy John, right? But he's kind of like where he was 2 years ago. So it's not like a concern. So I think we're going to get an Imanaga here that I think is going to be what we would have thought we got last year. And you can get him at pick like 175. So I'm probably going to take him well ahead of that. I'm not going to lie. Like at that point in the draft, like I'm going to take a guy who was amazing 2 years ago. And because there's not a lot of guys in that range that have had sustained success like him. Not even for a full season. So I will take Imanaga a lot. So I guess AJ, we'll do you now.
All right. Well, again, I had like two guys I was kind of going back and forth with. The first guy that I was really looking at here is Cade Horton, also going with the Cubs. He's
another one I like.
Yeah, he's their third pitcher, but he had an amazing second half last year. He finished out with a 2.67 ERA, 6.7. No, obviously that's expected.
It's you now for doing that.
True story. I got gas in my car today and ended up at like 42.67, and I was like, there it is, but can't do it. So I bumped it to 42.75. Cool story, bro. 2.67. Like I said, that's gonna drop some. You know, his expected ERA was 3.88. So definitely plenty of room for regression there. I don't think it's gonna drop that, drastically though. I would still think he can hover around 310 somewhere in there. He had a 20% K rate, low walk rate at just under 7. His ground ball rate was nice though at like 42%. So I'm always a fan of guys that can, keep the ball in play and, on the ground and get those double play balls and that sort of thing. He only pitched 118 innings. So expect that. That's in the majors. Sorry. He had another 29 in the minors, AAA. But I mean, I would expect that to go up a little bit, but he's still probably going to be on a bit of a cap there. So you gotta be a little weary of that. But yeah, I mean, he was just exciting to watch when 11-4 in his 22 games. So 22 starts. Sorry. The other guy I was looking at was Carlos Rodon. Mostly, a lot of
I'm out.
a lot of similarities ADP wise. But Rodon was, one of a handful of pitchers to put up over 200 Ks last year. He had pretty decent. What was I looking at earlier? I mean, he was pretty consistent ERA wise. First half 3.08, second half 3.09. So, very, very solid ERA. And, his xERA was like 3.30s. So he was pretty much in line with his expected, which was good to see. I don't typically love Yankees pitchers because that's a tough division to pitch in. It's a tough ballpark to pitch in. Although he had a 2.98 ERA at home. His average against was 154. That's pretty impressive for being in Yankee Stadium. But yeah, I don't know. He's kind of coming off two back-to-back decent years. So I'm willing to take a chance on him again, but I'd hope he would fall a little bit lower than his ADP, which is right around 200 as well. If I was really going to take the jump on him.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to find those high strikeout numbers that late in drafts. So I get why it's up there. I'm just terrified of Rodon, man. He's got that like blow up potential. Down there.
I think we need to mention he's also hurt. He's not pitching till May. Rodon will not pitch until May because he's injured. He had shoulder surgery. So I think we need to at least mention that he's not going to pitch.
Done. Yeah. I want to mention one thing about Horton. I'm still mystified as to why he didn't strike out more people last year. All through the minors, he just mowed down people over, double digit, K per 9 every stop in the minors, except for 4 games at AA in 2024, but everywhere else just destroyed it. And then, maybe you see a little bit of a dip in the majors. 7.4 K per 9. That was wild. Yeah. His ground ball rate rose. And so it was he was just pitching to contact, just playing it safe. I wonder if the wheels will come off with him a little bit this year and they're going to let him go. And maybe we see a little bit different Cade Horton this year. It'll be interesting. He is somebody I am not quite sure what to expect because the pitcher we got in the majors last year was not the one that we all thought we were going to get. But it was still good.
He was still impressive, though.
Yeah, it was still very good. It just wasn't the one that we thought we were going to get. You thought you might get a 3.5 ERA with an 11 K per 9, but it was the opposite.
Yeah.
So, all right, Corey, finish things up here.
Before I start, I just want to mention Joe mentioned how Shota Imanaga's velocity is up 3 miles an hour. I don't know. Some of this is the first time we've gotten StatCast data for all of the spring training stuff, and some of the marks seem wild, some of the exit velocities and some of the readings. So I think I was talking about Jack Caglianone. I think I saw somewhere he popped a 118 exit velocity, which would be just wild. So I'm not saying don't believe it. I believe a lot of that stuff, but I do think some of it needs to be a little calibrated. So I'm not overly worried about the 3 miles an hour yet. But mine is Chris Bubik, who also, like AJ's guy, is dealing with, or I guess Don was not his guy, but AJ's second guy, dealing with a shoulder thing. His season ended early with a rotator cuff strain, but he is throwing already. He has not pitched in a game, but he has been throwing already. And when he was pitching last year, he was an ace. I mean, 116 innings, 2.55 ERA with a 2.89 BIP, so fully supported by that. 3.17 expected ERA. 118 whip, just at a perfect strikeout per inning. I talked about it last week when we were talking about busts, right? Spencer Strider's going around pick 100 coming off of an injury, and he wasn't good. Chris Bubik was awesome last year, and he's coming off an injury, and I can get him 100 picks later than that. I don't get why we're getting such a discount on him, but I'm going to take advantage of it everywhere because I'm not sure. There's no indication to me. Maybe I miss. He's a little slow getting going here. I mean, we're still a little early because we started with the WBC, so maybe he misses 2-3 weeks. But if I get 130 innings, which is what the projections are at, that looks like a top 25 pitcher, which is what he was playing at, and I can get him outside the top 50 at pitchers. He's currently 65 among starting pitchers. That's wild. AJ, you saw your buddy Aaron Nola pitch last season. Would you rather have Chris Bubik or Aaron Nola? Because I'm telling you, I'll take Chris Bubik for 100 innings over that. Because, I don't get why he's so low.
I don't either. I mean, unless the injury is just scaring people that much, they're just thinking, well, he wasn't like a household name, and then last year he kind of came out of nowhere. Then he gets injured, so it's like, hey, we remember him, and now, hey, we forget him, like just because it was such a quick transition. I probably would be more interested in him than Nola. I'm really hoping for a bounce back from Nola, and I expect a bounce back from Nola. I don't know if we're going to see, the Nola that we had, at his peak. But yeah, last year was abysmal for him. And, and then he gets injured, and it's like, well, was he injured earlier than was let on? Is that why he sucked so badly? I don't know. But yeah, I love what Buick did last year. I had him, I picked him up. Picked him up pretty early, and then wrote him out for a while, and then I ultimately dropped him before his injury, and missed like 3 starts out of him maybe, and then it was like, oh, okay, he's injured now, I don't have to worry about it. But
I will say Bubic became the pitcher that we all thought we were getting when we all drafted Seth Lugo.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably slightly
Another
better,
guy
but still, it was like Seth Lugo was like not awesome, but like, good ERA, good whip, not a high strikeout guy, but hey, I can take him at where he's going. And he sucked. Yeah, that wasn't great. He was actually a negative in the ERA category. So thank you. All right.
Yep.
That's it for the 2026 fantasy baseball sleeper picks for all the positions that we've got. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, go over and start your league. Move it over. Like, just do it. It's better. Move your league over to Fantrax. They never shut down. If you're in a keeper or a dynasty league, it's always there. They have the largest rosters out there. If they're missing anybody randomly, especially in your like super deep dynasty leagues, all you gotta do is email them. Next day, they're there. They are there. I guarantee it. Customizable settings. The most customizable settings, and it's all free. So fantrax.com/fantasy 6-pack. Go over there and create your league for free. We're going to be looking for some reserves for the fantasy 6-pack series here. We're going to be locking down the divisions tonight after the show. AJ and I are going to be doing that, but it's always inevitable there's somebody who doesn't show up draft day, so we're going to need some backups. So go ahead and get your sign up to be a reserve for our league, and which is also over on Fantrax, of course. So that's it for the show. Without further ado, we will see you all next week. Peace.